September 13th, 1943. 3:27 p.m. Altavilla, Italy. Corporal Charles E has just destroyed 2 German machine gun nests. His BAR is smoking. Brass casings litter the ground around him. The 2 soldiers who followed him into the assault are still catching their breath. Then Kelly looks up. 70 German soldiers are closing in on his position. They've heard the gunfire. They're coming from the buildings, from the streets, from everywhere. Reinforcements responding to the attack on the machine guns. Kelly has 1 Browning automatic rifle, maybe 5 magazines, 2 men behind him with M1 rifles. The Germans have rifles, submachine guns, grenades, and numbers. 70-3. The math says run. The math says surrender. The math says die. Charles E doesn't care about math. He raises the BAR and starts shooting. What happens next takes less than 10 minutes. 40 German soldiers will die. Kelly won't get a scratch. He'll fight for another. 36 hours after this, throw mortar shells out of windows, fire a rocket launcher at infantry, and drink 4 raw eggs in the middle of a firefight because he's hungry and there's nothing else to eat. The newspapers will call him Commando Kelly. The Army will give him the Medal of Honor, the first enlisted man in Europe to receive it. But right now, in this moment, he's just a street kid from Pittsburgh with a machine gun and 70 Germans who made the mistake of getting too close. Charles Edward Kelly was born in 1920. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the North Side, a neighborhood where kids learned to fight before they learned to read. Kelly's childhood wasn't rough. It was savage. His father worked the steel mills when there was work. When there wasn't, the family went hungry. Kelly dropped out of school young. By his teenage years, he was running with a street gang, stealing what he needed, fighting anyone who looked at him wrong. He was small, 5'8", wiry, mean. The Pittsburgh police knew Charles Kelly by name. Petty theft, street brawls, juvenile detention, the kind of trouble that ends in prison or an early grave. Then the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. May 1942. Kelly walks into an Army recruiting station. He's 22 years old. No education, no skills, no future worth mentioning. The Army doesn't care about his past. They need bodies. They need men willing to kill and die in places they've never heard of. Kelly signs his name. For the first time in his life, Charles Kelly has found something he's good at. The Army teaches him to channel all that street violence into something useful. They hand him a Browning automatic rifle, the BAR. 20 pounds of American firepower that spits .30-06 rounds at 500 per minute. Kelly falls in love with it. He qualifies expert on every weapon they put in front of him: rifles, pistols, machine guns, grenades. The skills he learned fighting on the streets of Pittsburgh translate perfectly to combat: how to move without being seen, how to read an enemy, how to strike first and strike hard. By the time he ships overseas, Kelly is assigned to Company L, 143rd Infantry Regiment, 36th Infantry Division, the Texas Division. Farm boys and ranchers mostly. They look at this wiry street kid from Pittsburgh and don't know what to make of him. They'll find out soon enough. September 9th, 1943. Operation Avalanche, the Allied invasion of mainland Italy. The 36th Division lands at Salerno, south of Naples. The Germans are waiting. The beaches become killing fields, artillery, machine guns, mortars. Men die before they get their boots wet. Kelly survives the landing, pushes inland. For 4 days, the division fights through orchards and villages, gaining ground 1 bloody yard at a time. Then comes Altavilla. The village sits on a hill overlooking the Salerno plain. Whoever controls Altavilla controls the high ground, controls the roads, controls the beachhead. The Germans know this. They've turned the village into a fortress. Machine gun nests in the windows, mortar teams on the rooftops, infantry dug into every stone building. The 36th Division has already tried to take it twice. Both assaults failed, hundreds of Americans dead on the slopes. September 13th. They try again. The assault begins before dawn. Kelly's battalion advances up the hill under heavy fire, Germans above them shooting down, Germans on the flanks shooting across. Men fall everywhere. Kelly keeps moving. By mid-morning they've reached the edge of the village. The fighting turns close and vicious. House to house, room to room. The Germans aren't retreating. They're contesting every doorway, every staircase, every window. Kelly volunteers for a reconnaissance patrol. The battalion needs eyes on Hill 315, the high ground beyond the village. The route is completely exposed, open terrain under German observation, snipers, mortars, artillery. Anyone who walks that ground is a target. Kelly walks it anyway. He reaches the hill, counts the German positions, estimates their strength, and walks back through the same killing ground to report. The Germans hold the hill in force. Now the officers know what they're facing. But Kelly isn't done. 2 German machine gun nests are tearing apart the American advance. Every time the infantry tries to move, the guns open up and men die. Someone has to take them out. Kelly volunteers. He grabs 2 soldiers and moves out. The machine gun positions are dug in, protected by sandbags with interlocking fields of fire. Textbook defensive setup. Doctrine says you need a coordinated assault. Suppressing fire. Grenades. Smoke cover. A 3-to-1 numerical advantage at minimum. Kelly has none of that. He has a BAR and 2 riflemen. He attacks anyway. Kelly charges the first position from an angle, firing from the hip. The BAR roars, spitting, brass. The Germans try to swing their gun around, but Kelly is too fast, too close. He's inside their position before they can react. Kills them at point-blank range. The second nest opens fire on him. Bullets snap past his head. He drops, crawls forward through the dirt, works his way around their flank. Then he's up and moving again, BAR hammering. The second crew dies like the first. That's when the 70 Germans arrive. They've heard the shooting. They're responding to the attack on the machine guns, coming from buildings, from side streets, from positions all over the village. Kelly sees them massing, closing in. 70 soldiers against 3 Americans in the open. His 2 men look at him. What do we do? Kelly doesn't hesitate. He raises the BAR. The weapon weighs 20 pounds loaded. It kicks like a mule on full auto. Most soldiers fire it in short bursts, controlled, conservative. Kelly holds the trigger down. The first Germans fall before they understand what's happening. Kelly is moving as he fires, making himself a harder target, keeping the muzzle on line. Magazine runs dry. He drops it, slams in a fresh one, keeps shooting. The Germans shoot back. Bullets crack through the air around him. They hit the dirt near his feet, whine off stones behind him. Kelly ignores them. He's in the zone now, that place where fear doesn't exist, where there's nothing but the weapon and the targets and the trigger. 20 Germans down. 30. The BAR runs dry again. Reload, keep firing. The Germans are starting to waver. They came expecting to overwhelm a small American patrol. Instead, they've walked into a buzzsaw. 40 Germans lie dead or dying in the street. The rest break. They scatter, retreat, disappear into the buildings. Kelly stands in the middle of the carnage, smoke rising from his barrel, untouched. His 2 men stare at him like he's not human. But Altavilla isn't finished. Kelly's company pushes deeper into the village, takes up a defensive position in a stone storehouse on the regiment's flank. The Germans counterattack. That night, Kelly's position takes fire from all directions. He shoots back, conserving ammunition, waiting for the main assault. It comes at dawn. September 14th. Hundreds of Germans attack the storehouse. If they break through here, they can roll up the entire American line. Kelly fights from a second-floor window, the position where a machine gunner died earlier. Kelly takes it over. He fires the BAR until it jams, grabs another, fires until that one jams, grabs a third. The weapons can't handle the sustained fire. Kelly doesn't care. He picks up a Thompson submachine gun, empties it, picks up an M1 rifle, fires until the clip pings out, picks up a Springfield, works the bolt, drops Germans one shot at a time. Every weapon in the room, he uses it until it's empty or broken, then reaches for the next. The Germans keep coming. Too close now for aimed fire. Kelly finds a crate of 60mm mortar shells. They're designed to be fired from a tube. Kelly doesn't have a tube. He pulls the safety pins and throws them out the window by hand. The explosions rip through the German assault. He spots a rocket launcher in the corner. An anti-tank weapon. He aims it at a cluster of infantry and fires. The backblast fills the room with smoke and thunder. Then there's a lull. The Germans pull back to regroup. Kelly has been fighting for over 30 hours. No sleep, no food, running on adrenaline and nothing else. He walks downstairs to the kitchen. The mayor's house, taken over as a defensive position, still has food in it. Kelly finds 4 eggs. He doesn't have time to cook them. No pan, no stove, no fuel. He cracks all 4 into his empty C-ration can and drinks them raw. Protein, calories, fuel to keep fighting. He grabs a bottle of champagne from the counter. The mayor's private stock, probably. Pulls the cork and takes a long drink. Then he sets the bottle down, walks back upstairs, looks out the window, and sees a German sniper positioning himself in a tree across the street. Kelly raises his rifle. 1 shot. The sniper falls. The battle resumes. Kelly keeps fighting. By afternoon, the American position is untenable. Too many Germans, not enough ammunition. The order comes. Withdraw. Pull back to friendly lines. Someone has to stay behind and cover the retreat. Make the Germans think the building is still defended while the others escape. Kelly volunteers. He fires everything he has left. 1 man making the noise of 10. His company pulls out. Every soldier makes it. Not a single casualty during the withdrawal. When Kelly finally runs dry, he slips out of the building and disappears into the smoke. He reaches American lines at dusk. 36 hours of continuous combat, more than 40 Germans dead by his hands. Every weapon in the Army's inventory he's used and discarded. The story spreads through the division like fire. Stars and Stripes, the Army newspaper, runs an article. The headline calls him Commando Kelly. The name sticks. General Mark Clark, commanding the Fifth Army, personally recommends Kelly for the Medal of Honor. The citation reads like fiction. Fearless determination, magnificent courage, fighting spirit beyond all expectation. On March 11, 1944, the medal is approved. Charles Kelly becomes the first enlisted soldier in the European theater to receive the nation's highest award for valor. They send him home. War bond tour. 60 days of parades, speeches, handshakes with politicians. Pittsburgh throws a celebration. The governor declares Commando Kelly Day. They give him a gold key to the city. A book deal appears. One Man's War. The Saturday Evening Post publishes excerpts. Hollywood buys the film rights. Charles Kelly, the street criminal who couldn't stay out of trouble, is suddenly the most famous soldier in America. Then the war ends. The parades stop. The fame fades. Kelly tries to adjust to civilian life, but civilian life has no use for him. The skills that made him a hero, the violence, the aggression, the instinct to kill, they don't work in peacetime. He drinks. His first wife, May, dies of cancer. He remarries and divorces. The book, Money, disappears. The film rights go nowhere. By the 1950s, Commando Kelly is just another forgotten veteran. He becomes a house painter. Quiet work. Lonely work. The Medal of Honor sits in a closet. He never talks about Altavilla, never talks about the 70 Germans or the eggs or the mortar shells thrown by hand. The drinking gets worse. Decades of it. Liver damage, kidney failure, 1984. Charles Kelly is 64 years old and dying. He takes the bus to the VA hospital in Pittsburgh, walks to the admitting desk. The clerk asks for his emergency contact. Kelly says he doesn't have any living relatives. This is a lie. 5 of his brothers live nearby. He doesn't want them there. Charles Kelly, Commando Kelly, the first enlisted man in Europe to win the Medal of Honor, chooses to die alone. In his hospital bed, hooked to machines keeping him alive, he makes one final decision. He pulls the tubes out himself, refuses treatment, dies shortly after. Nobody knows what happened to his medals. In 2024, Pittsburgh dedicated a street in his honor. Honorary Commando Kelly Way, on Shawano Street, where he grew up, where he came home to parades and gold keys, where he returned after the fame died to paint houses and drink himself into oblivion. Most people have never heard of him. They know Audie Murphy. They know the famous ones. They don't know the street kid from Pittsburgh who faced 70 Germans with a BAR and killed 40 of them without flinching. Then went downstairs for eggs. Here's what the story of Commando Kelly tells us. Heroes don't come from anywhere special. They come from the north side of Pittsburgh, from street gangs and juvenile records and nowhere futures. Charles Kelly had every reason to amount to nothing. Instead, when 70 Germans closed in on his position, he held the trigger down and didn't stop until 40 of them were dead. When he ran out of bullets, he threw mortar shells with his bare hands. When he ran out of energy, he drank raw eggs and kept fighting. That's not training. That's not courage the way movies show it. That's something else, something harder to name. The refusal to quit when quitting makes sense. The decision to stay at the window while everyone else escapes. The choice to die on your feet instead of live on your knees. 70 Germans surrounded him. He killed 40, drank 4 eggs, then killed more. Commando Kelly, the first, the forgotten, the one who did what the math said was impossible, then went back for seconds.